we grew up around music, you know, being Filipino, I'm sure Filipinos can relate. There's music everywhere in the house, you know, people singing karaoke. My parents, you know, they're always playing 70s, 80s music around the car, around the house. I have two older siblings. They played 90s R&B and hip hop, 2000s R&B and hip hop. Me being born in 97, you know, I grew up to all this, entered the 2010s, social media, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all this stuff, growing up to a lot of our favorite artists today, such as Kanye West, Travis Scott, Young Thug, to name a few of my influences. And right now, my current favorite artists, Larry June being one of them, and probably Don Toliver. So just growing up around music, and I don't know how to play any instrument. My cousin and other people I knew know how to play instruments. Me, I just knew, like, I was a smart kid, you know. I always did well in school. I was consistent, well behaved. I was always into drawing and visual arts first, drawing, graffiti, even in middle school. But I was too much of a good kid. I couldn't sneak out late at night, spray painting walls, running away from cops and gang members. It just wasn't my lifestyle. But I took that creative energy, and in high school, you know, YouTube was very new, 2011. People were shown. I watched a lot of hip hop documentaries, and learned about the culture itself, starting from New York, and hip hop as a culture of, you know, graffiti, DJ, MC, and b-boy, b-girl, breakdancing, basically. So I really studied the game, and there was very small tutorials on programs like FL Studio, which I started on, how to make beats on there and how to record raps. And a lot of what I did was just watch YouTube tutorials and study all the legends from the golden age era of hip hop. And, you know, I would watch those legendary producers like DJ Premier, Alchemist, Ninth Wonder, Jay Dilla, like chop samples using the MPC. And I looked and I'm like, I can't afford an MPC. It's like thousands of dollars. Oh, there's a program that could kind of do it in a digital way. Let me try this. And if you go deep on my YouTube channel, LaynoProd, I rarely delete anything. I have stuff there from my first song, my first beat, 2010, 2011. It really shows, like, I fell in love with the art and I always wanted to improve. That's why I left it there, so that people can see the progression. Yeah, and I couldn't afford producers. I couldn't afford engineers. I didn't even know what mixing was until college, until I started, you know, learning from actual engineers that were my professors, and actual being in actual studios, and learning Pro Tools. So as an artist, I was always making my own beats. As a artist and producer, I was always recording and mixing my own stuff. And I worked with people on the side, but I really learned how to do everything because I had a lack of resources, and I had to learn how to be resourceful. So it really made me a it made me have an advantage as an artist, because how many artists do you know can make their own beat, can record themselves? And now what I'm learning is how to push myself out there, which is, I think, is the hardest part.
You have to do social media. You have to put yourself out there, especially if you're independent, right? So, like you said, if you don't have the budget for it, you're gonna have to go out there and do it yourself. Yeah.
So I'm always trying to find ways to do it myself, but I know there's people that are better than me in certain aspects. So I'm also trying my hardest to make money on the side, however that may be, to have a place to create and to have resources to push the best art as I can, as well as give back to fans that I'm building one by one, all the way up to 1,000 true fans, which is my main goal, is to build 1,000 true fans. Once I have 1,000 true fans, I don't have to be that famous, that rich. I can live off of music, and those 1,000 people will, you know, really support me all the way through.
Yeah.
Right now, despite all my numbers of followers and listeners, I would say I have maybe 10 to 20, to be completely honest. In all these years of me making music, I only have 10 to 20 that I know will buy whatever merch I put out, will go to whatever show I do, will always share my music. But and I'm trying to always improve.
Yeah. So you're saying you'd rather have like a lower number of followers and true fans versus having thousands and like millions of people following you.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, because, you know, it's cool. Like, the numbers are cool, and, you know, the numbers really help in terms of leverage, and maybe even in terms of money. But if I have millions to stream, on Spotify or millions of views on YouTube, but I can't perform a show and sell out 300, like that's embarrassing. Like it tells me that people were only there for the hype, that they're not
Yeah.
down to actually see me perform. And you know, I really value the thousand true fans thing, because I'm all about building my own community, building my own tribe. And all of my favorite artists, they kind of have that, you know, that cult following. So